Imagine it's like the medieval days. You're a king in your castle. What would you want your queen to be like? You'd want her to be respectful. You'd want her to be kind and loving towards the people of your castle. But most of all, there is one priority. You would want her to help fortify the castle and make sure that it stays running and safe. Why? Because if you've got a good castle, other men want to take it from you. A castle in this analogy is like a relationship. If you've got a good woman, a beautiful woman, other men want to take it from you. Hundreds, thousands of years ago, if you had a good castle, other men, the barbarians, would want to take it from you. And how would they do that? What they do, what like the enemies do when they want to take over a castle is they'll bring their army and they'll lay siege to the castle. That's where the enemy army will camp outside of your castle and basically just like demand your surrender. In your castle, you're safe, but now you can't go outside because you'll be butchered. You're running on limited supplies, and no one can bring new supplies into your castle because anyone who's on your side, who's, it's like some lone traveler who's going to bring you guys like grains or bread or some shit, the barbarians will kill him. So you can't get any more food or whatever, and you can last like a month or 2 months inside, up until you're done with starvation, and then they overtake you and they put your head on a spike. Barbarians are laying siege to the castle. They're waiting for it to fall. Is that not exactly what is happening in modern day relationships, where you could have a girl that you really like, and there's barbarians outside of the relationship who are waiting to see you as like the king of the relationship stumble and fall? Now that's always been a thing, right? You could just imagine human relationships have always been like a threat with another man who wants your girl, right? That you can imagine that was even happening 1,000 years ago. What seems to be the case now for modern people, modern men and modern women, but I'll speak as a modern man who's heterosexual towards women, is that your queen will help the barbarians. The best queen in this analogy, she would inspire your people and keep the castle strong. The modern day queen goes to the wall of the castle, looks over at the barbarians, and starts dancing sexy for them. She puts on sexy clothes and she just stands there, encouraging them, making them more excited to take over. She literally gives them more motivation to take over and to destroy your relationship, your castle. Then she starts speaking to them, because of course those barbarians are going to shout out, and they'll shout and say that she's pretty, and she'll be like, encourage, oh well, thank you so much, thank you. When you see her, you think this is like, imagine a king seeing his queen at the wall of a castle talking to the barbarians, basically like kind of flirting with them. You'd think she's gone insane, but then she says to you like, oh no, but it's okay, like they're nice guys, they're just my friends. Right, just your friends, they're here to fucking take over the castle. But of course, like, a lot of women, quite frankly, are not very intelligent when it comes to like the behaviors of men. They're just friends. The moment they get through the gate of the castle, they're going to fuck you. They're going to fuck you, right? That's the same as every male friend that a girl has who she genuinely thinks is a real friend. The moment, if you tested him, had a couple of drinks and bent over in front of him, told him to fuck you, he would drop his pants fast as fuck, right? But a lot of girls don't have this level of emotional or understanding of the world or accountability or responsibility, whatever it is that's fucked up in the minds of women. There's so many things fucked up with guys as well. But again, I'm speaking as a position from a heterosexual male. So you've got your queen, right? Let's say in the next few years you meet this awesome girlfriend. Awesome. Things are going so well. You ask her, is there any barbarians outside of our castle right now? She's like, nope, no barbarians. No, I don't speak to any barbarians, no. One day she goes onto her phone, onto Instagram, and you just happen to glance. You didn't even mean to, but you just happen to glance, when she goes onto her DMs, there's 3 guys' faces there. Nope, no, these aren't barbarians. They're my friends. They're part of the castle. They're part of the castle. You're like, no, they're not. Given the chance, they would fuck you, so they're not friends. Given the chance, if we brought the barbarians inside of the castle, given the chance, they'd fucking decapitate the king, right? They'd stick his head on a pike and they'd take over the castle. But your queen's gone mentally insane, and she's like, no, it's fine. Like, I can entice them. Then maybe one day she posts a picture which you don't like. It's too provocative. That's like the case for so many guys in relationships, right? So many guys get into a relationship and they're not comfortable with what their girl posts. She posts like too sexy things on TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram, and she's showing off her figure too much. And it's like, who is it for? Who is it for? Because if it's for the king, she doesn't need to post it online. So it's not for the king. She says it's just for herself. Well, if it's just for yourself, why do you have to post it online? She gets new clothes that reveals her figures. She goes to the top of the wall and wears it in front of the barbarians, making eye contact with them. Just imagine that as like a realistic scenario of like medieval times, and you were one of the barbarians laying siege outside, and his wife kept on coming over and kind of like, you know, just like showing her ass towards you and stuff. You would be so much more motivated to take down that castle, right? Right? That's what, like, it's like dating a modern person. They flirt with the barbarians outside of your relationship. And then the king, like you're the weird one if you call that out and you say, wait, why are you speaking to the barbarians? Like, you know, they're laying siege. We just have to stay undercover, right? We keep this all inside of a castle. Oh, you're controlling, you're gaslighting me. You're like, oh, like, I can't do anything. I'll never let a man tell me what. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Are you mentally insane? They want to fuck you. They want to kill me. If we could give them a button that secretly killed me, they would press it. Like, think about that. There's guys in your girl's DMs right now where if we gave them a button and it said that you, as the let's say in the future you've got a girlfriend, right, or you're maybe her husband, that you would just silently die and their odds of fucking her would increase, and they couldn't, like, no one would ever find out that it was them who pressed the button. Do you know that most of the guys in her list would be like, yep, fuck that guy. I'm gonna pound his woman. Most of the guys in your girl's list would press that fucking button. Just think about it, right? Because you know that's the truth. You know that's the truth, right? Imagine how brutal that is. Your queen is stood at the top of the castle, dancing sexy for them, encouraging those guys to take over the castle. Now, am I saying that all women are bad? Fuck no. There's queens who fortify the castle. There's queens who come up with some innovative way to get out of this siege, who never end up having a siege to the castle at all. There's queens who make your castle bigger and bigger. Your castle was like pretty nice when you met her, and it turns into a fucking kingdom with her by your side. That's the kind of woman that I want you to find. But a lot of people, I would go as far to say probably about like, I don't know, 50, 80% of people that you'll meet, they're going to be like that wretched witch covered up as a queen. And if there's a woman watching this, honestly, it's the same as guys. Like, your relationship is supposed to be this castle that gets stronger and stronger. And a castle is always going to have enemies and people who want to take it, right? Humanity is just one big PvP game, basically. And there's people who want to take what you've got if it's attractive. You need to find the kind of woman that your castle becomes stronger, that you never have to sit there thinking like, why is she like making herself sexy for the barbarians and not for me? Why is she talking to a single barbarian? Like, let's say in the castle analogy, the barbarians are outside and they're shouting, right? They're trying to shout over. Which queen would you want? The one who goes up and says like, what? No, thank you. No, I've got the king. Would you want that one? Or would you just want the one who knows her place and never goes to the fucking wall of the castle to speak to the barbarians ever? Imagine it could be demotivating for the barbarians that they keep speaking literally to a brick wall with no response. But a lot of the barbarians speak, shout over, and your girl responds. She responds and says, oh, you know, I've got a boyfriend, but thank you though. I remember once when I was about 19 years old, I was having this conversation with some of my friends when me and them, we were all like degenerates, right? Like, I've lived that sort of darker life, right? This is why I'm telling you this story, because I've been the barbarian. And I'm telling you, It's very easy to fuck the queen. It's actually not that difficult. Think about this for a second. This isn't some good boy who's making this video for you. This is a former barbarian who has broken down castles, who knows what to say to the queen to take her and to take over the king. That sounds kind of like cringe analogy. Oh yeah, bro, I'm a barbarian, bro. But you get my point in terms of the analogy, right? Back when I was a barbarian, there's one particular night I can think of, but there was quite a lot like this, where it was like the same script that I could just use to get a girl in the club who would mention that she had a boyfriend. The same word. I'm not going to say what it is because I know that there's some like fucking barbarians watching this thinking like, oh yeah, sweet, I'll be able to fuck someone's wife now. But I'm telling you, like, as a barbarian, it was not easy, but I just needed a few things from the queen. I needed her in front of me. That's the number one thing. You should not have your queen in front of the barbarian. That was like literally the 0 to 1. Let's say I'm going out with my barbarian friends, right? If the queen, your girl, is out on that night out, like a party or a nightclub, that's like her not in the castle. That's her in the fucking field next to me and my fucking boys, right? Do you see the difference? Like, she's not in the safe castle anymore. You've literally, like she said, so you're like, oh, hey, I'm going to go party with the barbarians. I'm just going to go out with my girls and go hang out with some barbarians. And if your dick is inverted and you've got less than 2 testicles, you'd be like, oh yeah, baby, have a fun night. I'm a secure man. I'm secure in my masculinity. I'm not insecure. What the fuck? Holy shit. The amount of cuckoldry there is of guys who like to, like, you know, smile behind the mask. Oh, sorry, smile with a mask saying like, yeah, I'm not insecure. I let my girl go out with the barbarians. Are you fucking mental? Like oh, surely you agree with me, right? Is that not the same? Like, a girl going to the nightclub is the same as your queen in this castle analogy saying, oh, I'm going to go hang out with the barbarians with my girlfriends. Oh, don't worry, I'm not looking good for them. Oh, don't worry, it's just me. It's just about me and my girls. It's like, motherfucker, go, like, you and your girls dance in our courtroom, our ballroom or something. Why'd you have to go out next to the barbarians, right? When a girl goes out to the barbarians, and that is, for example, she goes out to some very degenerate sex environments, like parties, nightclubs, drinking, and these, like, sort of social gatherings. So in the UK, like, a bunch of teenagers, the culture there is like they'll just go, like, walk around the streets and walk into, like, parks and stuff and, like, drink and take some drugs, and that's where, like, a lot of, like, promiscuity happens, right? Even with really young people, like 14, 15 years old, 16. I've heard from so many people from my country, from UK, where they've lost their virginity in parks when they were like 15 years old. You know, because they all take, like, weird drugs that they're not used to. They go out with, like, 10 of them, and, you know, it's like this degenerate kind of environment where they're shouting and saying, like, kiss each other and whatever. There's, like, peer pressure, whatever, right? That's like your girl going out to the barbarians. When she goes to the nightclub, when there was 0 risk, imagine the queen who's not even on the wall. She's just in the bedroom of the castle. The barbarians can't see her. There's practically 0 risk for them to fuck her that night, right? Practically, right? They could, you know, crazy overthrow, the king could die or whatever. That's extreme. But practically, if you think about the analogy I'm telling you, practically, that's like as low risk as possible. As soon as the queen goes to the wall and speaks to the barbarians, it's went higher. Why? Because now the barbarian, if he's got good skills of persuasion, which a lot of barbarians do, they can convince her to do something fucking stupid, like come down into the field, to throw a rope down to open the gates. But if she voluntarily opens the gates and goes out to hang out with the barbarians whilst dressed up, wearing makeup, and then drinking alcohol with them, holding eye contact with them, and you as the king, you're inside of the castle, and everyone, like 90% of people in the modern day, will say that you're insecure if you feel like that's a bad thing. Well, I'm going to give you a favor here. I'm going to hold my hand up in front of everyone and say that I am so fucking insecure. If that's the label that people want to put on towards a man who doesn't want his queen to go out next to the barbarians, then I will proudly say it. I'm so insecure. I'm so insecure, but at least I'm not a maniac. At least, you know what? I'm insecure, but at least I'm not a cuckold. That's it. I'm insecure. I'm not secure in my masculinity. I've got small dick energy, whatever they want to say. At least I'm not a cuck. I hope that you can agree with this. You know what? Like all these people, they're going to throw misogynist, controlling, and manipulator, and like all these narcissistic and all these fucking gay little words. You know what? Me and you, bro, and everyone watching this, we can just hold our hands up, be like, yep. If that's what misogynist means, I'm a misogynist. At least I'm not a fucking cuck. At least I'm not the kind of guy who's okay with his girl going out and partying with the barbarians, taking inhibition-lowering drugs with her little girlfriends, and they tell me like, oh, it's okay, I'm just here with my girls. I'm not looking pretty for them, even though she's literally made herself look prettier than the times when she spends time with you and with her girls if they were going to stay inside. It's just for me. Imagine like being the king in like genuine medieval times and your queen says like, oh yeah, I'm going to go hang out with the barbarians, like with my girlfriends. You'll be like, what? Oh my God, you're so insecure. It's just for me. Like, you'll be like, wait, what are you doing? Like, why are you wearing lingerie? Like, why are you wearing a bra to go out there? Well, why the fuck would you even go out there? And you're so controlling. And like, I'd be like, are you mentally insane? They want to fuck you. Am I the only one who thinks like this? They want to fuck you. Why would you hang? Oh, well, you should just trust me. It's not about trusting you. It's about knowing that there's men who are extremely persuasive. And also, the thing is, how can you trust the woman who tries to convince you that she wants to go outside? You know, like this is the thing which people will say, like, oh, well, you know, if you've got trust in your relationship, you shouldn't worry if she wants to go outside, hang out with the barbarians. You specifically shouldn't trust the maniac who says that she wants to go outside with the barbarians, right? Because she's just proven that she's mentally insane, that she's got struggles with like cognitive function. If she thinks in any way that's an appropriate thing for her to do, right? Now, everyone else outside of this kind of community, they're going to disagree with us. They're going to call us toxic. You need to understand this and remember this. In the future, when you want to enforce these kinds of rules with your future girlfriend, future wife, you're going to get backlash. You're going to get people who call you narcissistic, toxic, controlling. I want you to just smile at it and just think about the phrase that I'm using here. Yep. I am a misogynist, controlling, narcissistic, whatever they want to say. And then just smile and just be like, at least I'm not a cuck. That's it. That's it. At that point, you win. The guy who's there with skinny neck on like a vegan diet, and he's like, oh, you should just trust your partner, you're insecure. You'd be like, yep, I'm insecure, but you're a cuck. That's it. That's like, there's no response that anyone could ever say for them to redeem themselves from that point. Like there's fucking guys and, you know, like all these people online, they'll be like, oh, you're insecure. They're the same, like, you know, there's the guy who says, oh, I let my girlfriend go out. It's okay. I trust her. Yeah, well, you know, when you go to a hotel room and the bed's there and there's always one fucking chair that faces towards the bed. That's his chair when he watches another guy plow his fucking girl. That's the cuck chair for those kinds of guys who are like, oh, I let my girlfriend go out with the barbarians. I don't think it's a bad thing. And then 6 months later, they're like crying and depressed. Oh, she cheated on me. Who could have expected that? Like, and I don't mean to laugh at like a man's misfortune. But yeah. So let's make this practical. You don't want a deranged, wretched queen. You don't want a queen who goes to the wall of the castle, talks to the barbarians, and even says, oh no, it's okay, I've got my king. That's the thing, right? Really think about that. You wouldn't even want your queen to go to the wall to respond to the barbarians, right? Imagine you were literally in siege right now. Like, imagine you heard word outside of your castle walls is 15,000 barbarians. They can't come over the walls because you'll massacre them. You've got like people on like the walls or whatever, but they're just waiting. You're going to run out of food in like 6 months. You're hoping that something disrupts them in that time, right? You're hoping that their supplies fuck up or maybe their homeland gets raided in the next few months since a lot of them are out. So you're just going to stay steady. What behavior would you want your woman to take in relation to them? Would you want your girl, your queen, even once to come up, even if she says respectful things like, no, I've got a king, like, no, you still wouldn't want that. When you really think about it, you want them to stare at a brick wall with no response because it's more boring, right? When a guy comes up to your girl, you don't want her to stop and be like, oh, well, thank you for the compliment. No, sorry, I've got a boyfriend, right? You don't even want her to say that. When you really think about it, maybe it's just me, but you want her to be a brick wall. You You want her to literally not even say, no, sorry, I've got a boyfriend. You want her to literally just fucking walk away. Why give someone the chance? Because I'm telling you, there's girls who have said, no, sorry, I've got a boyfriend, to a guy who had their legs pinned up an hour later, pounding into them. How do I know this? How do I know? I read about it, bro. All it takes, bro. Some of these barbarians, I'm telling you from personal experience, they're very persuasive. Very persuasive. I can see the flashes in my eyes right now when I was like 19, girls telling me like, oh, I've got a boyfriend. And literally, I'm genuinely telling you, 10, 20 seconds later, we're kissing. It's not hard. The girl who tells you I've got a boyfriend is still available. It's the girl who looks at you and then walks away. That's the girl you can't get because you look like a fucking weirdo if you go chase after that girl, right? But the girl who smiles and she's like, oh, well, thank you for the compliment. No, I've got a boyfriend. But she's smiling, holding eye contact. She's still potentially game. It's not impossible to end up getting a girl like that. So take this advice from a former barbarian. Find a real queen. Not just a modern woman who masquerades as a queen, who goes to the top of the wall with her little friends and they say like, oh yeah, the king's kind of insecure. And she's like shouting down at the barbarian saying like, yeah, you know, the king hasn't been treating me nice anyway. Like she's saying that to the barbarians. Now that I've said this analogy, do you not even feel worse about this situation of like, you know, girls just thinking it's appropriate to talk to guys, going out and everything? Fuck me, man. And you're the bad person for this, right? We're fucking psychopath, narcissistic, controlling, whatever. Sorry, I'm a bit nasally today. We're bad guys for this, me and you. We're horrible, controlling, red pill misogynists, narcissistics, and gaslighters. For not wanting your girl to go out to the barbarians. Just think about that for a second. That's where the world's come to. Yeah, it's just fucking insane. Here's an action step to make this practical for you. The next time you meet a girl and you start getting some feelings for her, just use that castle analogy and just ask yourself, what kind of queen would she be? Let's say level 0 is that she will say that she wants to go out and hang out with the barbarians with her friends. That's the kind of girl who, for example, wants to hang out with guys. She wants to go out partying and drinking. That's level 0. Basically, if you've got a girl like that, this is what you do. If you grab your hand like this and then go, do that. Maybe do it like 10 times because maybe you're mentally insane as well if you've got that kind of girl as your queen, right? I'm not going to lie, this is really disrespectful. I just thought of the kind of guys who were in that situation and as I was like looking into my camera, and I just felt the urge to spit at them. Like that's like the fucking scum guy. Not even scum, that's the thing. It's just like, I just want to backhand the guy who's in that situation as with love. Like if you're the kind of guy who's with a level 0 woman who goes out to hang out with the barbarians, with her little girlfriends, and she's like, oh, I just go hang out with the barbarians. I wish I could just see you in person. I wish I could just grab you by the shoulders and fucking shake you, backhand you like the fucking bitch you are, and say, bro, what the fuck? Like, snap out of it. Are you mentally insane? Is something wrong? Are you low on did you not consume enough protein or vitamin B or some shit? Is your brain not working? Dimak nahi theek hai? Kutta. I just want to backhand the guy who's in that situation, not as a hateful move, but it's like, like a disappointed father. You know how like fathers have got like big fucking clunky hands, which shock. I don't know if you've been beat by your dad, but it kind of like shocks you into. It's like an hour of meditation. You're like, oh yeah, yes sir. Like, yep, I'm here. Like that. It's like that. That's what a lot of guys need, bro. If your girl's going out right now, parties, nightclubs, she's going to the little gatherings with D-gens who want to fuck her with the barbarians, right, with her little hoe friends. Genuinely slap yourself in the face right now. Slap yourself out of it. Fucking send her one last text message. breaking things off, and grow a fucking pair of balls and do some journaling because you've got a mental insanity to stay in a situation like that. I'm assuming you're not at level 0 if you're watching this channel, right? That's more if you're still watching like Far From Weak or some fucking retard channel. Level 1 then. So level 0 is we're not even acknowledging women who are going out with the barbarians. Level 1 queen. She's speaking to the barbarians. She's barely even mentioning... Oh, sorry, no. Level 1's still bad. So she goes... she doesn't go out to hang out with the barbarians because that's a mental insanity. But she's on the wall shouting over and having fun conversations with them. She's not really mentioning that she's got a boyfriend or the king because she's just saying, like, oh, well, we're just talking, right? She's insane as well, and she doesn't realize like what the intention of the barbarians are. It's not that she's just having a short conversation. She's genuinely having good conversations and creating an attachment and like a bond with the barbarians. She's metaphorically just like stroking their cock a little bit, like not with a full fist, but just with her fingers, giving them like a semi or even an erection just before they're about to go overthrow your castle. She's doing that because she thinks it's appropriate. Again, grab your hand, give yourself a slap, because that's still fucking terrible. She might not be hanging out with them in the most degen environments, like the level 0 queen, the one who's going out to parties and nightclubs and stuff, but that's still degenerate. So this is the equivalent of a girl who, for example, has got like a lot of male friends and she's messaging them and whatever, but she's not doing something crazy like hanging out with them one-to-one, drinking, whatever, but she's got a lot of guys that she like speaks to and stuff like that. So that's like the level 1. Now level 2 is where she's rejecting them. So this is a pretty okay queen. This is like a diamond these days. It's like she's at the castle, looking around. The barbarians are shouting over, saying like, hey, let us in. Oh, how are you? Like, you're beautiful. And she's like, oh, thank you, but like, I've got a king. She's always mentioning you. That's still not amazing, right? This is the girl who's replying to DMs, who's getting approached on the street, and she's having a tiny conversation. He's like, oh, thank you, but I've got a boyfriend. The problem with this is that there's a 1% chance that the barbarian pounds her. She's still speaking to them. There's just 1%. 1% is very low, right? And let's even be nice. Let's say with this woman, level 2, the one who rejects the barbarians, which you might think, wait, she rejects the barbarians, that's a good thing. No, it's not. It's not the best thing. There's still, let's say, a 0.1% chance the barbarian fucks her. Why? Because she's still entertaining the conversation. She's still replying to the message and saying, oh, thank you, that's so cute, but I've got a boyfriend. She's still like speaking to the guy who cold approaches her, having a little conversation, and she's like, oh yeah, by the way, my husband's here with me, kind of like giving you that little thing. It's only going to take a few certain circumstances for the right barbarian to come up to say the right words when she's in the right emotions, when you haven't texted her for like 8 hours because you were busy working, that's when she's probably going to cheat. The final level, like level 3, is a woman who literally does not even speak to the barbarians at all. Might sound sexist, but she's a good woman because she knows her place, and her place is not on the walls of the castle. She does not present herself to the barbarians. This is a level 3 queen. This is the kind of woman who, for example, doesn't even have social media, or if she does, it's a private account with like vetted people can only follow her. That's it. The only guys on her list are like her brother, maybe like her boss if she has one or something, her father, that kind of thing. That's it. Because she's been raised well. She's been raised to know the intentions of men. As much, barbarians will try and convince her like, oh yeah, I'm not really just trying to fuck. It's like they are. This is a level 3 queen. She does not even go to the walls of the castle. Do you see the difference? Most guys would be happy with the level 2 queen, the one who responds even a little bit enthusiastically towards the barbarians, but then rejects them. That's only level 2. Level 3 is that she doesn't even respond. Like, when you really think about it, do you want your girl to stop and be like, oh, well, thank you for the compliment, but, she's holding eye contact. She's giving him a free testosterone boost. Now, yeah, again, we're really insecure, but again, at least we're not cucks, right? So she's giving him a free testosterone boost, and now he's thinking like, oh, yeah, if I see her a few more times, I'll probably end up smashing. Because I'm telling you right now, bro, like, barbarians are thinking this, like, players. When they speak to a girl who says she's got a boyfriend, but she kind of entertains the conversation a little, they think, oh yeah, if I speak to her like 3 to 5 more times, I'll probably end up smashing. It's a sign. When a girl responds to you, it's a sign. Compared to when you go up to a girl and she literally doesn't even look at you. She like walks away. She says, "Oh, sorry, excuse me." She walks away. She doesn't even respond to you. That's the girl who, like, you're not going to start chasing her down the street. Like, the players of the modern day are not going to start chasing her. That's the level 3 woman. The woman who doesn't even go to the gates or the wall of the castle. So remember those levels. And the next time you fall in love, or the next time you start getting feelings for a girl, just imagine that analogy and really ask yourself, like, where would this girl fit on that? If she's got male friends, if she's got guys in her DMs right now, she's probably a level 0 or a level 1. If she doesn't have social media and you ask her why, and one of the reasons is like she doesn't like the sort of sex degenerate culture, okay, we're talking potentially level 3 woman here, right? But also, just one thing I want to say is she could seem level 3 in one area, but level 1 in others. So you could meet a girl who doesn't have social media and you think, wow, this is a diamond, that's amazing. But then when she gets approached by a guy, she entertains it. That's the problem. So just watch out for that. It's not just like you meet a girl who doesn't have social media, so you think, okay, I'm in the clear, this is a high quality girl, this is a wife quality girl, it's all good. She could then still get approached by a guy. She entertains it, doesn't even mention you, anything like that. So just be careful with that. I'll just be brutally honest with you now that we're like half an hour into this video. This was one of the major reasons why I split up with my ex, the one I made lots of videos with, because she didn't have social media, which I thought was a very high quality trait. But then there was just one time when she got approached by a guy kind of in front of me, like in the gym. And I could see that she was entertaining the conversation. She didn't see anything wrong with it. She was like having fun in the conversation. I'm not a retard. I know that the guy was just trying to fuck. And so I was pissed off about that. And then it turns out she had spoke to that guy like 2 times before. So as always, I'm insecure. I'm a narcissist. I'm a psychopath. I'm controlling and misogynist. But I'm not a cuck. I'm not a cuck. So I split up with her on that day. We ended up getting back together. This was like early on in our relationship. But I never forgave her for that. I'll never forget her face where she was genuinely like enthusiastic about this conversation she was having with like this guy in the gym. I'll never forget that, because that was like, I should have ended it fully there, and I kind of did, but I got back together. But I never really trusted her after that. That's for me, right? That's my own personal values. There's going to be guys who eat low protein who will say like, no, that's fine, you're just insecure as always. I'm not a cuck, they are. So that was just unacceptable. So this is what I mean by that, is like, you can have a woman who doesn't have social media, has basically no one in her contact list, which is really good sign. That's really cool, right? So she doesn't text any guys. She doesn't have any guys popping up, replying to her stories or anything like that. But she's still like the queen speaking to the barbarians at the top of the castle. So just watch out for that. Like, you've got to really like see which area she's in, what level she's on in, for example, the digital realm with the messages, and then also in the physical with the guys that will approach her. So just be careful, because you don't want a queen who leaves like a hole in your castle. You don't want a queen who makes it easier for the barbarians to come in. You don't want a queen who demotivates the people in the castle because they think that the relationship is kind of breaking down, right? Imagine if, in this analogy, you and the queen have got children, and your daughter and your son see your queen behave like that, and they start to think that's what's normal. And because of that, your daughter becomes a lower quality woman when she grows up, because she thinks it's normal to speak to guys who want to pound her. And your son thinks it's normal to have a woman who speaks to guys who want to fuck her. You're weakening your children by staying with a person like that, right? So just bear this in mind, because it's fucking brutal. If you've already got a girl and you know that she's on one of those lower tier levels, she's speaking, she's like level 0, she's going out partying and stuff. Just remember this, almost no one in your life is going to agree with this. There's no conversation to be had. You're not going to convince a deranged queen what she's doing is wrong. You're not going to convince her. She's just that kind of woman. And you will seem like the insecure person, and like it'll be social suicide for you. So I would highly recommend you don't actually bring this up. I know that all the little pussies will say like effective communication and stuff, and that stuff's really good once you've already found a woman who meets your standards. But this is about a woman who doesn't even meet your standards, right? This is about a woman who's so morally corrupt and has such bad values of a relationship that she's beyond saving. Because if you have to tell your queen, like, oh, hey, I'd appreciate it if you didn't go party with the barbarians because they're trying to fuck you. If you have to even say that, it's like, it's already fucked, bro. That's not your position. That was her father's position, right? It's like this idea of like growing with your partner. Yeah, it's a cool idea if she's already high quality to begin with. But you don't take like someone who's messed up in the head, who thinks it's appropriate to dance and take drugs with people who are trying to fuck her, and then try and improve with her. You deserve a woman who's got a blank slate, who's higher quality in the first place, who's like, let's say, level 2. And then you kind of tell her, like, by the way, like, when a guy speaks to you, I would prefer it, and I think it would symbolize like a higher quality and more respect in you if you didn't even entertain the conversation, if you weren't afraid of coming across a little bit rude, and you just didn't even speak to the guy, or you were very, very, very abrupt, or you just walked away. I would prefer it. I don't want you to kind of be entertaining the conversation, couple of sentences, couple of minutes speaking to him and then telling him you've got a boyfriend. I would prefer that, right? If you've already got a girl who's like level 2, she kind of, gets approached, but she rejects them, you can work with that. But a girl who's level 0, a girl who's mentally insane, who goes out and parties with the barbarians, you don't save that kind of woman, right? So have some respect for yourself, because you will seem like a maniac. I was in a relationship with a girl about like 4 years ago, and this was the case as well. Like I was thinking about this morning. It was really interesting. Like basically I was with this girl who was in that lifestyle of like partying and whatever, and I had just gotten out of it a few months ago, like before I met her. So I knew just how like bad it was, and the cheating and the promiscuity and the degeneracy, and I knew like how good it feels to be out of that culture. So I helped her to like get onto self-improvement and stuff, and she was like posting onto YouTube at the time. Like she even had more subscribers than I did back in the day, actually. And she started posting videos about me saying like, I've started loving my life again because of this man that I've met, and he's gotten me on these good habits and everything, and I wake up early. And it was quite new for her to do these like self-improvement things. And then it got to the point where it was about her behavior with the barbarians, with her girlfriends, like going out to party and take drugs with them, which I told her I didn't want her to do anymore. And basically it turned into this massive thing where her family, including her, just thought that I was like this controlling freak who said like she can't party and be a degenerate and take drugs. And she started to think that I was like some narcissistic, crazy guy, whatever. If you want to watch a conversation between me and her that's like 3 hours long, you can search like Hamza podcast with my ex, and you can just see that, and you'll just see what it's like speaking to like, no offense to her, but you can just see what it's like speaking to like a woman who's just quite frankly not a queen, who just wants to go out and party with the barbarians. And yeah, it's just brutal. You don't try and save a woman like that, because you'll be gaslit. You'll be called all sorts of names. When at the end of the day, you're trying to do it to like basically make this woman higher quality. They will attack you. The reason why they attack you is because these people are deranged. They think it's appropriate in a relationship to go out, open the gates of the castle, and to go hang out with the barbarians, right? You can't convince someone who's like that. You just can't convince someone who's like that. I tried my best, and it was heartbreaking for me. It was so like painful. So just bear that in mind. I know that I seem kind of like negative in this video. I wish I could be a bit more positive, but we have to sometimes speak about the dark things. And I know that I've mentioned 2 women in here, and so it can seem very easily that I'm like some bitter, resentful guy. But both girls actually had amazing qualities on like, as well as like those things that weren't so good. And yeah, you can, bro. There's amazing girls. There's women who you've got like a, like a moderate or maybe a bit of a crappy castle right now. There's women who can enter your life and turn it into a fucking kingdom with you, just by their inspiration, their wisdom, the conversations you can have with them as you like bounce off ideas on how to make the kingdom better, like basically how to make your relationship better, how to make your, your lifestyle better with each other. There's women who really carry their own weight in a relationship, and they understand their position. They understand they're not supposed to speak to guys. They understand that they should make the king feel as secure as possible. So please don't take this as like, yeah, you know, women are all horrible. The reason why I've titled it as like modern women are, because you need to find a woman who is not like modern, if that would make sense. We're in modern times, but it doesn't mean that every woman has like modern personality. I'd say probably about like 80% do in the sort of countries that I've been, or maybe in the countries I've been, maybe like 95. But I would assume you can find some girls who are actually a lot more like traditional, a lot more based, and they kind of know the place of a queen, and they enjoy it. They think it's completely normal for the queen not to speak to the barbarians. They think it's like they would not respect you if you were like this. Like here's an idea for you just before we end off, right? The final thing of inspiration. It can be scary having this value, right? Because you will be seen as a controlling misogynist, whatever, as I have been seen, right? But here's the thing. You'll only be seen bad by the people you don't actually want in your life, right? Like if you're the kind of guy who says you don't want your queen to hang out with barbarians, it's only the deranged non-queens and also the barbarians who are going to look to you and say, oh yeah, you're insecure or whatever, right? And it can be scary to take that hate, right? It can be scary to polarize people, but the woman that you actually want, the queen who's at level 3, she's going to respect you more if you have the balls to be able to say this. Now, there's a lot less of those women. So on average, when you speak about stuff like this, you're going to be seen as a bad guy, right? Let's say if you're in school and you happen to say this out loud, most of the girls in there will get loud and, you're insecure, whatever. Guaranteed there'll be one girl sat quietly thinking like, oh, I agree with him and I just respected him more. Like, yeah, like a woman should know her place is not on the wall of the castle talking to the barbarians. So just think about that for this lesson of polarization. If you stay true to this value and you want a real queen in your castle who helps the castle become stronger, not a modern woman who weakens it, stay true to this value and speak about it. Maybe not in areas that you'll suffer a lot of backlash like university or in your job, whatever, but on dates, on dating apps, if you're using them. I probably wouldn't suggest using them, but like if you meet girls, whatever, and just be honest with yourself, because you're going to meet a girl that when you say this kind of thing out loud, like, yeah, I want a girl who's like more traditional, and maybe she's going to be an awesome mother, she doesn't have male friends. There's going to be a girl like, yeah, like I can't believe so many girls are like that. Like I've just found that so weird. You're going to polarize, right? But of course, what you want is more rare. So you're going to have a higher quantity and more frequency of people, of men and women, who are going to gaslight you for this belief. Remember, women are allowed to have their own preferences. As a guy, if you want to have a woman who is not like the masses, it's misogynist, whatever, but a girl can say that she wants this guy, whatever, right? So just bear that in mind. Have the balls to be able to like hold true that this is your value, this is your desire. You want a real queen for your castle, because that's actually how you'll find her. But you'll have to suffer through the sort of attack. As an action step, you might want to go and watch that podcast, maybe just the first few minutes, because I get her, this is like an ex from years ago. It's a pretty fucking big ball move as well. I literally like split up with this girl and then I got her to do a podcast with me. But in the first few minutes when like I'm being polite and I say like, okay, so, you know, like, why did we like split up or whatever? Because you were controlling, narcissistic and gaslighting and whatever. And as the podcast goes on, you start realizing like everything she said she objectively was herself. You're going to be attacked like that. It's going to be illogical arguments that will kind of claw at you, because you'll be like thinking like, why am I the only one who's getting attacked when like these people are saying I'm like all wrong? They're the ones who've got it wrong. You'll feel like you're being wronged when you hold this belief. But this belief itself, like this value that you want a real queen, is exactly how you will find a woman like that. Do you get my point here? You need to have the bravery to show this value to the world, to show the world that basically you are like a misogynist, not a real misogynist who hates women. In fact, like the people who are branded as misogynists often like women more than the fucking feminists these days, right? If you like, the things that I like in a woman is actually healthier for women and makes them happier. So if anything, I'm a real feminist and the feminists are the misogynists, but that's a separate point. But you get my point, right? It's like, it'll drive you insane. You'll want to make all these points, but you won't come across to the people who are arguing with you and telling you like, oh yeah, you're a misogynist, you're controlling, you're a freak, you're narcissistic, you're like a red pill Andrew Tate, whatever the fuck, right? You can't win with those people. You don't try and convince those people. But there's going to be like a girl in your class. There's going to be maybe a girl in your audience. If you've got like a few hundred followers on YouTube, there's going to be like a girl who's following you already who actually has this value, and she'll literally be attracted to you and she'll remember you when you have the balls to speak about this, especially if you do so in a very respectful way. It's very easy to say like, oh yeah, women are hoes and whatever. But if you say so in a very respectful way, like just as a personal preference, I want a woman who's like X. You don't try and hate on the women who aren't what you want. You just try and talk about what you want. Have the balls to say that, because that's how you'll meet your queen. And when you meet that kind of woman, I can imagine it's just like the most amazing thing that you'll ever find in an improvement to your life and to the kingdom that you're building up. If you feel like there's basically no one in your real life who shares this kind of value, like be honest, like how many, like imagine everyone you know, right? Imagine like your family, people in school or work or whatever. Imagine having this conversation with them. Like you could probably imagine yourself making these points, but you know that it's just going to go over the heads of most of them, and they're all going to think you're a fucking psychopath when you start talking about barbarians and everything, right? This is why I made Adonis School. So you can click away if you want, but basically it's a paid program that I made as a community, like a brotherhood of guys who share this kind of value. Because when you have these values which are ostracized and attacked by everyone else, it's nice to have a community of guys who share a similar value, so that you don't get encouraged by like the masses to be more like them, to like, you know, accept more of like a feminist level 0 woman into your life and start getting convinced that yeah, you're just insecure, you should let your girl go out partying with the barbarians. You need other people who are like you in this journey, so that you stay true to these values that have appealed to you. So not only do you have like other guys, basically like my top fans are inside this place. So if you're watching this video, if you convince see yourself as one of my top fans and you think that most of your values align with mine, this is the place. It's the top link in the description. That's the place where you belong, because you'll be like, holy shit, everyone in here meditates, doesn't want to be a degenerate. They think that like the world is fucking up recently. They all go into the gym. They've all, you know, they want to make money online, whatever. And it's like you get to connect with guys who are like you. You also get tons of support from me, and we're also making it into more of like a physical relationships as well, where we're encouraging a lot of the students to see if they can like end up traveling with each other or living with each other. So we've got guys who like, they find this crazy, but it's like they've literally started planning to move here to Bali next year so that they can be closer to me. Like it's turning into like a real life brotherhood where we can go train and everything. And you're like, you've got basically like fucking brotherhood friends with people who are actually like you, not just like the guy in the gym who you work out with, but he's also a bit of a degenerate loser outside of the gym, but people who overlap your values like 80-90%. So it's such an incredible place. If you feel like you're alone in this journey, if you feel like even the other guys you know who kind of go to the gym don't really agree with this mindset, they would find it weird if you spoke like this, if you feel like there's no one else who's super ambitious like you are, that's the place you go to. So just go click that top link when you want to. See you later.